All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the TO Show. We are back after a little bit of a hiatus, a little bit of a break after a little bit of time here. But, we are back in attic, coming at you guys here with another awesome guest, another awesome episode. Before we dive into things, guys, understand we've been kind of not lacking, just been really busy with stuff going on. But like I said, if you want to have more guests come on and other things like that, feel free to hit the subscribe and like button. A lot of that support goes a long way, and especially on this episode, it's going to be a good one here. But let's dive into things, guys. This week we have an awesome guest with us. We have UAlbany Offensive Lineman Scott Houseman with us here today. Scotty, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you, Tia?
I'm doing fantastic. I am so pumped to have you on today and kind of talk a little bit about your story. Scott, why don't you talk a little bit about your path to UAlbany? It's been a little bit different, than kind of the normal Division I football player.
Yeah,
kind of just dive into that.
Yeah. So out of high school and stuff, I actually played in a really small town. It was mainly it was like 3A football, so like it's pretty big but not too big. I played all 4 years there and everything, but my journey, like I didn't really, you could say that I didn't really like know what it took to get to the Division I level exactly. I had a couple D2 schools my senior year, like started hitting me up. I went on a couple of visits down to California University of Pennsylvania, and then at Slippery Rock too. Both of them just offered me walk-on spots. I am a pretty big guy, as you know. I'm 6'4", 3. I was like 3'10", maybe 15 at the time. I just didn't look too good. So, but in my head, I always wanted to play the Division I level. So I got a random call in the middle of February. And I really had no clue what I wanted to do yet at that point in my life. Most people are trying to figure out, like a lot of people are already applying for colleges and stuff like that. Like I knew I probably wanted to go to college, but I really did not know what I wanted to do. So, like I said, I got a really random call in the middle of February from this junior college, Lackawanna College in Scranton, which is eventually what I attended and everything. So, like I said, I wasn't really getting too recruited, and then they came along, and then I went up there and visited the campus in Scranton. It was like 4 or 5 hours away, which to me, that was the first time I was really away from home and stuff like that, even though I just was visiting the campus. But after like talking to those coaches and stuff, like they convinced me pretty quickly that I could get a Division I scholarship out of there if I just work hard and stuff like that. And the other thing too is like a lot of junior colleges do scholarships, but Lackawanna did not really do any. I'm pretty sure they might have did like 1 or 2, but if you had other money coming in, then that would be like your scholarship. But
yeah,
other than that, mainly I got there and everything. And then it took about a year and a half for me to really get any traction into the Division I level still. That first year, I did take it as a developmental year. I saw they usually have 2 classes of people, sophomore and then the freshman. That's it. Usually you don't have a junior or senior in there just because the Lackawanna took on a lot of the high school kids. That's what they like. So there wasn't too many college transfers like you would see, the Juco or bounce backs or whatever. And so basically I took that whole year and just really worked on, myself, learning the game of football, just getting the technique done, watching these 5 players that I had in front of me who were just, they were beasts. I mean, the right tackle went to Penn State, the right guard went to Hampton, the center had to go Division II just because of eligibility purposes. The left guard went to North Carolina Central, and then the left tackle went to Syracuse, and there was one behind him that went to Arkansas. So the talent there was like, all you had to do was just watch these guys and watch how they would play, the aggression and stuff, and you would learn something from them, obviously. And then after that, that year, so my third semester there at junior college, we played in the national championship there in Pittsburgh, Kansas, actually. So that was really a great experience for me. It kind of showed me, what high level competition of football is going to be, because a lot of those kids were already committed to places such as like West Virginia, Cincinnati, So it was a really good thing to kind of like get that experience and play against them. And then I had a couple offers throughout the season, had about 3 or 4. And then Albany came in real late into my recruiting. Not too late, but more the offer came late. I was on a plane ride back from southeastern Missouri, and I had a call from Coach Byam, and I got up there on a visit and everything, and I really fell in love with this place, just the campus and stuff like that, the atmosphere, the people, so everything, and then now I'm here.
Well, that's
So
awesome. Awesome stuff. We had Jawan on, I think last summer, and he talked about kind of like the coming in as a, a true freshman, into Lackawanna, of kind of like that they do a lot of cuts and all these other things. What was kind of like that first, like initial, like kind of shock experience, like at Lackawanna?
I would say like to me, they do stuff like that. To me, it was more. I remember the conditioning test we did at first. That was kind of like a shock to me, but I think it was more or less just like how many people were actually because like the true freshman year, a lot of them, the kids there, they take that red shirt year instead of the true
Hmm.
freshman year. So I am pretty sure that Jawan came in right away playing. So
Yeah.
like it's as a freshman, you think like another thing you're gonna know too is like a lot of kids come out of high school with a big ego. They're 4-star, 5-star recruits. Even JUCO, we are getting some 2-star, 3-stars. So these kids weren't nobody. So in their minds, they think like I should be starting right now when you had other kids that were very established players and they've had a year of that college experience of they actually know what the game is like, and then other kids just think they know, but really they don't. So there's like a little gap right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's awesome to hear that you kind of were able to learn from, your peers, especially the ones that were going to these big name schools and stuff like that. I think
Mhm.
that's an important piece to take for anybody, of whether you're a transfer or a freshman, and especially an incoming freshman, to watch like the older guys and the guys that are, been there, done that,
Absolutely.
to continue to like learn from them. Now me being a transfer in um, to from Albany into William and Mary, kind of taking the approach of like, okay, let's see, kind of just watching certain guys, and like, every culture is a completely different place. What
Absolutely.
was kind of the culture? The Lackawanna's been very good, like over that time period. Do you think that they're just really good at kind of recruiting kids or getting bounce back kids, or what is kind of like the culture like? Talk a little bit about like JUCO, like, because it's not for everyone. Just
Yeah.
kind of talk a little bit about your kind of experience there.
So I mean, it definitely, like you just said, it kind of isn't for everyone, but it can be if you just make it kind of for yourself. I would say like a lot of my experience there, the culture was more of a like everybody wanted to get to the Division 1 level, so that made everybody want to push for a certain goal.
Hmm.
You're not going to get to the Division 1 level if you don't win. So that was one thing. We were like, we got to win all these games, because if we don't win, we are not getting recognized. We saw how like the 1 year before us, or the year I was there, the first year I was at my redshirt freshman year, we saw how they won. They won every single game, 11-0. All I think I want to say that they had probably about 18 kids on the whole team, the whole starting 22 go Division 1, and they won. So we figured if we just piggyback right off of what they were doing, continue the success, we were going to do the same thing, and that was honestly what happened. Um, some of my experiences, though, I mean, yeah, they were crazy. I love those guys over there and stuff like that. So it was definitely more of a freer type feeling. We were all It was 3 levels of our dorm. They were all football players. So I mean, you're gonna imagine some of the things that happens. There's just a lot of testosterone going around there and stuff like that. So it was just some funny ass times and stuff like that. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think that's like everyone talks about how it's like a brotherhood, and that, you'll those guys will always be your brothers forever, just because of all this crap and all the stuff that
yeah,
you had to
that
go
I
through.
would say too that yeah, that's exactly right. Like we still snap each other in this group chat we have, or text each other, and like we always, if someone does something good, like we send it right in there. We're like, yo, like congrats, brother. Like even some of our dudes have had kids recently, like they're sending it in that, and we're like, dude, like that's so awesome for you, good for you. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it was a time of struggle, but now that we're out of the struggle, we all see what the riches are from what we were struggling through.
Oh, awesome stuff. Yeah, that's awesome. What would you kind of give advice to anybody who's like, especially, probably now it's a little late, but anybody maybe, down the line who's listening to this or anything like that, who's like considering JUCO, like what would your best advice to anybody who's like considering, or who do you think it's like made for, like JUCO? Because it's like I said, you're right. I think it's to an extent it can be for everyone, but it's not really for everyone.
I would say, I mean, I would say it's for the kid that like is definitely getting under recruited. Like my story is a great one. Like I just got under recruited. Like no one saw and I didn't really know my potential yet. So like if some kid is definitely like, he thinks that I don't know, maybe I need another year. It's almost like you see kids out of prep schools. I mean, they don't take away eligibility, but you're like, maybe I need another year, or you want to play really like good, still good football, but your grades ain't ready yet, something like that. You're just not if you're just not ready to take the next step. JUCO is like the perfect little platform where if you can test the waters, basically, if you're in a good program like Lackawanna, they're going to shape like a lot of stuff towards how the next college you're going to go to will work out. I'm not gonna, but some of the lower level JUCOs, their programs are nothing compared to what you're gonna see when you go to the next level. So it's like, I would say like one thing was like the competition at Lackawanna. We had a lot of competition there, so like that helped us a lot too. Just being there and stuff like that. But honestly, if just someone just isn't ready, if they think their body needs a couple, some kids' bodies, you're a freshman. If
Yeah.
you think you need like 25 pounds and you want to put that on in a good way, and you're good enough to get to that next level, like it's sort of like little stuff like that almost.
Would you say it's like more of like a risk reward kind of situation where kind of you putting all your chips in because, like I said, even not necessarily like you had like a walk on offer and you could have
Yeah,
taken that, like been, a preferred walk on and been safe and you're still playing college football. But
yeah.
you kind of said, I'm going all in, like I want to go play at the Division 1 level. Is that kind of the mindset that you kind of have to had to be able to make that jump?
Yeah, I for sure think so, because that was like the only thing that was really on my mind was like, you need to work now to get to this next level. Then you're there, you
Mhm.
can work there. It was definitely I just I didn't want to be complacent with where I was at, like, to be honest. So it was stuff like that. Like I didn't like where I wanted to be, where I was probably going to be in life. So I was like, I'm gonna put all my chips in. I'm just if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna take this $14,000 loan that was against my name, and then I'll rock it out. I'll pay that after. But that was I just put all my chips in. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this and see what happens.
Yeah, kind of going back to like prep school and stuff like that. What would you say like, the biggest difference into like if like for example, if somebody had to decide, hey, like these are my only two options of going to prep school or JUCO, what do you think? And we'll might have to have somebody else on to talk about who's been through prep school to kind of
Yeah.
go through that. But what would you say, kind of based on after now looking at the fact, what would you kind of say the biggest differences are? You'd say.
I know. Okay, so like the basic ones are like I know in prep school they don't take a year eligibility away.
Yep,
That's a big thing.
that's a
I
big
mean
deal.
that really is. If you almost look at it like with me and you in COVID season, you get an extra year.
Yeah.
So like that is a big year. And then if you get hurt or something down the line, you have a regular red shirt and then a gray shirt. So I see a little stuff like that. I know prep schools aren't really like unless you're going to an IMG academy, those crazy like prep
Yeah.
schools. A lot of them aren't like good facility wise. Like they don't have really anything actually. They don't have a weight room. Like you're
Yeah.
you're you're going to some other weight room in a high school to go lift sometimes. Like but JUCOs are like that too. That's why they had the stigma for the really long time. You know what I mean? But when you're at the top, it's the same thing. I would say to me, I like JUCO more because like I thought there was more of a sense of like college like football, like competition.
Hmm.
Like there was a national championship. I don't know, like I said, I don't know much about prep, but I didn't see a national championship for prep. But like in college, you at least have that goal of,
Yeah.
all right, this is what we're working for this year. Or you were working for the title, the section title, then this, then we're trying to get the natty. So that would be something. If you really want to win something, you do that.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think that's definitely a good thing to think about. And also I think even with these COVID years, I think it's almost like, even like I said, if you're getting under recruited and a lot of these like budgets and stuff like that, especially with these COVID years, like if getting thrown off, maybe a lot of people are getting under recruited. Some of these options of like going JUCO to just to give yourself another year, to show your talent and to show kind of, or even maybe even improve yourself like you did, Scotty, and kind of take that 1 or 2 years to be like, hey, like let's use these 2 years so I can, help leverage myself, past those people who might have those COVID years afterwards
Absolutely.
and stuff like that. Um,
And
kind of
I was
kind of
about to
stuff
say
like that.
too, I feel bad too for the like that little weird year between like COVID and then the transfer portal that happened. That's gonna hurt a lot of JUCO and prep
Yeah.
football kids that were trying to come out because you're gonna, I mean, most coaches are probably gonna take a kid who's been in the program for 2 or 3 years and maybe they were just at that school and they're just not hitting the portal.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna use him for two years, just like they would do the junior college kid. So it's like if you're coming out of junior college now, you gotta be a dog and you just gotta, work harder than that guy that's been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of a good next segue. How do you think is like this transfer portal of how many kids are in it, and kind of like the not only say the scarcity of like high school recruits, but like, how the coaches, college coaches are really using that transfer portal now. We've seen it across the country. Like I was
Yeah.
in it, like it's being used. How do you think that kind of hurts like the JUCO kids? Do you think that really kind of hurts them because of and you've seen it at, Albany. I bet it happens at every single school. There's a kid that bounces back, that everyone thinks, hey, they're going to come in and perform right away. And unfortunately, a lot of the cases, it's hard to come into a new culture and perform right away. You're one of the outliers of that, especially coming from a JUCO college. But how do you think that hurts, like from a standpoint of the JUCO kids, like, and you've seen, past classes that you've seen at Lackawanna or other cases kind of hurting that?
I would say that more or less that like JUCO players like it's it's kind of a tough like I don't think that the JUCO players will necessarily be like thrown under or something like that. It's just it'll be harder for you to get found, basically.
Yeah.
Like that's because like there's good and bad to the transfer portal, and unfortunately, I do think this is one of like the bad thing that's happening. Is just like there's just like a weird turnover of like kids right now. It's just like the portal's so big, and then it is like you got to be very good to get recruited out of JUCO, and now that just adds another little thing to it to hinder your recruiting. Where you may have slipped through and got an offer, but
Mhm.
now it's that's just a walk on offer. So
Oh, interesting.
that's kind of
It's
what I would
it's
say.
kind of an interesting. College football is definitely an interesting dynamic with this whole college football transfer portal thing, kind of opening everything up. But my next question would be kind of talking a little bit more JUCO is, we've all seen Last Chance U and all these other cases. Like, how much similar, like, and we see it on TV and they can, expose certain things or amplify certain things. How close or how not close was your experience? Of course those were kind of anomalies. They have like coaches that are, very fiery personalities. I think this last one was a
Yeah.
little bit less, kind of like coach was kind of just more laid back, West Coast kind of type. But based on the last seasons that have kind of came out, how's like your experience kind of been compared to, how the world perceives it, I guess?
It was pretty close, I want to say.
Okay.
It was pretty close because we had some just wild kids who were from gangs and stuff like that, they did have a hard life growing up, just everything was against them, backs against
Mhm.
the wall all the time. And they come to Lackawanna and they're like, it's a little more like, okay, I'm like I can't do that. If I was doing that, a lot of them either realize that I can't keep doing that stuff or like I can, and that was prominent in the show with a lot of the EMCC kids, to be honest.
Mhm.
And I would say it. it probably does shed I was just talking to some friends actually, and it probably does shed a bad light on the program because I remember seeing EMCC, and they got a lot of exposure out of that, but the coach Buddy also got a lot of like a kickback and hate from it because he would scream so much, and they were like, you don't need to scream that much, this and that, and it's like, well, you're not in that environment of coaching, so like, yeah, he might have been pushing the boundary a couple of times, but like he really wasn't. And then that just looks bad on his program and stuff like that. And I don't want to put words in the like people's mouths or something,
Yeah.
but I heard when I was there in junior college that they asked my coach to do it and Scranton and stuff like that, but he declined it. He declined it because he just didn't want like the exposure of the program. He already had really good exposure. He believes, and I think he believes in more of letting your athletes do the talking. He has a good placement, so why not just tell kids about that instead of, hey, I got this TV show. So I
Awesome.
mean, it's just good and bad to it, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also, you got to take it with a little grain of salt. I think all football players like understand that there are, college football is kind of like that, but to the outside world, they might not,
Yeah,
they might not know that or show that at a different level, and especially at a large scale level of a show that has gotten very popular over the years, Scott. But let's dive into a little bit different of kind of like, your transition from JUCO to UAlbany. You had a very good transition, within your first year, you're on the leadership council and all these things, coming in as a leader and stuff like that. How do you think, whether it was just your personality or lack of want, or what was the case that helped you kind of transition very smoothly from the JUCO, coming into UAlbany? Just because, even with, we've seen it with transfers or anything, even coming from a Division I bounce back, coming to FCS, whatever the case may be, usually it takes them a year, or even more than that, to actually kind of hit their tune, whether it's in, leadership, but also playing on the
yeah,
field.
absolutely. Yeah, I would say like obviously junior college helped me a lot, but it was just more of like I knew that this is where I wanted to be. So like to me, it was more of why not take full opportunity, like full advantage of this opportunity. That's all I saw everything as when I was playing that I've been playing football. It's this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. Like I thought when I got to like here, I was like, this is just an opportunity for you to show people like who you really are. You when you go out to runs and stuff and lift and you compete, I mean, that's competing with someone to me is like the best that you can do because that shows where you're at. You like if you're chasing someone like I'm like, I want to beat him, I want to beat him, I want to beat him. So I felt like more just me taking a mindset of like I want to show people that they were wrong that all those years and stuff like that and that like I wanted to come here and establish something too. Like I'm not just some JUCO transfer, you know what I mean? Like I am one of the guys, like I am cool, like you can talk to me and stuff like that. And it was a smoother transition too, because a lot of you guys too were like I felt very like at home when I came into this place. So it was a real easy mending and stuff like that. So
Awesome
that's what I
stuff.
liked about it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. It was just kind of having that mentality of, I think some people kind of come in like timid or other things, but I think it's important, to kind of get know kind of first couple weeks, to kind of, feel things out. And then from there, just be yourself and be your personality. I think that's the one thing that you do really well, is just kind of being yourself. You're not trying to be anybody else. Anybody, I think, coming in as a freshman or as a transfer, anything like that, kind of just being yourself. And I think showing your authenticity, I think is that's a big word. Is is really important to not to show you from a leadership aspect, but you're not trying to be somebody else. And I think when you try to be somebody else that you're not, I think your teammates or even people around you can kind of see that kind of through you, and
Yeah.
kind of think see you as fake, and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to be labeled as fake or anything like that. But Scott, what do you think is, have you guys started your workouts yet, your summer workouts
Yeah.
yet?
Yeah. We just started there this week.
Okay,
So
awesome, awesome.
yeah.
So what is kind of, you guys had this little month break off. from finals and stuff like that, and coming back, almost feeling kind of rejuvenated, ready to start kind of the summer. What kind of is the feel of, the guys and the work, kind of starting up workouts here this summer?
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited. I mean, as we went 2-9 last year, and I definitely think that a lot of people here and people that weren't here, like yourself, like definitely think that really wasn't the people that were here. Like that wasn't supposed to happen like that and stuff like that. So I think everybody here is real eager to work. We're eager really to just get at it and stuff like that. And I mean, it's kind of that's been the feel so far. Is just get after your work. You know what I mean? Because we can't have what happened last year happen again. So it's more on us. Are we gonna take the step up or not? So I would say eagerness is really the feel right now.
Yeah, awesome. That's a good feeling to have. How, you're being on the leadership side of things and anything like that. There's been a lot of kind of like turnover, whether it's a new offensive coordinator, like other coaches, but also bringing in new transfers, and the freshmen are starting to show up. What is kind of what how is kind of the leadership on your guys' end? Has that been kind of an easy transition, kind of through that? Because there's been a lot of you know good leadership that's been in place, ever since I've been there. How's that kind of been for you guys, kind of on this into spring ball now into the summer here?
Oh yeah, it's been all right. It's been good. The guys that our team elected up into the council is or the leadership group is a good group of guys, and we all it's a little weird, working together with the kids like that at first. You just don't really know like if you should say some things here or there, but I think like at the end of the day, we realize, well, if we want to win, we're gonna have to do some, we're just gonna have to click and get along and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not that we weren't or anything like that, but it's just that is what a leadership council takes. It just takes people just getting along, getting together, and pushing the other people through whatever it is.
Yeah, how does it feel like over that, like within almost like a year and a half almost of like you kind of flipping roles, almost like complete opposite, like within that such a short time, like how is that? How's like that kind of help shape, you being kind of that leader and teaching, just because of how like quickly, or even just seeing, older guys or whatever the case that have, either graduated or left the program.
It was weird at first. I remember, like coming in and
Mhm.
everything, you're just that first guy, you're a little wide eyed and everything. You're like just seeing how the program works. And then like I would just say through like just my hard work, I was starting to, get pushed into the role. And then I didn't realize like I was in that role because I kind of was like a year ago. And then I actually got elected to it. And I didn't realize I was in that role. So I was just kind of like, just not being like whatever. But I just really had like a weird transition there in my mind of like, all right, you can actually be vocal now. Like it's not just working hard by example. You can tell kids that like, yo, what are you doing here on this rep, or what are you doing? Like you didn't finish through the line now. So it was definitely like a weird year transition there where you're just coming into a program where you're not really like that. You don't have a name established for yourself, and then all of a sudden, you are named in the program, and then you're rated in the leadership council, and you're seen as someone who is expected to lead this team. So that was definitely a little weird transition, but it was a little bit smoother than I thought.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome stuff. Scott, last question here. Scott, how do you feel like, the team's going to do? We have a lot of like, returning guys on that offensive line. We started to see, and at least I noticed you guys started, the start of the season was kind of shaky. You guys were kind of just trying to figure out like the right, the right guys, or even just the right chemistry between you five. Now you guys had the spring and a lot of guys returning here in the summer. How do you guys feel, you being one of the leaders of that offensive line? How do you guys feel about the offensive line here coming up this season?
I feel like the group is definitely we took so many strides last year during the season that they weren't really seen because you're just in the middle of the season. But like you kind of see like, okay, when you watch back on film that, all right, this last second half of the season, we did get good. So like that's something to build upon. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the guys returning everything are way more than capable of doing what the job is. And I think that if the group comes along and definitely has like the right mentality, because a mentality offensive lineman is, it's just, you got to work. It doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. You're the back. If you don't, you're the backbone of the team. If you don't go, the whole team doesn't go. And that, it's metaphoric, but that it's pretty true nowadays. If you really look at what lost people games, like a lot of times it was the offensive line and stuff like that. So definitely excited to get back and working with them and everything like that. And really just eager. Like I said, a lot of us are just eager because we know that that what happened. I know on my end, I didn't like what happened last year. So it was just like, we got to put our foot down right now and be the group to lead.
Yeah, I know. I said that was the last question, but I just got one more. You guys have a new offense coordinator. You've had kind of like the spring to kind of like feel each other out, like especially as being in a leadership, him being in a leadership role, you also being in a leadership role on the team. Like how has the new offense coordinator came in, and what are some things that you've really liked that he's done, or just even like little things that you've kind of plays or leadership or anything like that you've kind of enjoyed having somebody new there?
I like Ambrose it's like a newer flavor. It's weird that sound. It's like a new flavor, like getting you're showing that you like. He was a little more different than the last guy we had. He's a little more energetic. He's like talkative to you and stuff like that. So, I would say that I just like the way them almost like the mentality that he just brought to here of we got to get the ball, run the ball, and at the same time we got to win. So it's almost like we're going to run the ball, but we're going to do whatever it takes to win. And getting that first spring with him and everything was like really cool because when your first year as a coach coming in during the spring, it's like you don't got to go right away, be the hardo because you got to install your playbook in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
He has the time to install the playbook in the spring and really explain what he wants. So when it does come down to it, I mean, it's what he wants. So you're going to know what he's actually wanting instead of coming in the fall where everything's going to be jam packed and jammed into one little thing. So.
Well, awesome, Scott. Well, do you have anything else for the viewers or listeners that you want to give a shout out or anything like that before we wrap things up here, Scotty?
I do not, but I want to thank you for letting me on, Tio.
All right, no problem, Scott. Man, good luck to you guys this season. Do well enough. We're not playing each other this season, so hopefully we see, I'll be cheering you guys on, but hopefully we play each other in the playoffs or something like that. That would be awesome. Both success for both our teams and stuff like that. And I'm guessing you have an off day here, so enjoy the rest of your off day.
We already did it in the morning workouts.
Yeah, workouts this morning. Oh, so you guys started on Tuesday. You started yesterday?
Yeah, Monday actually.
Monday. Okay, you guys had workouts this morning. All right, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, Scotty, and thanks for joining us. And guys, feel free to check Scotty out and follow his career path through UAlbany. Scott's been kind of a staple. I think he's going to be one of the staples of offensive line here. Excited to see what he's capable of doing this season. But until then, guys, peace.